Hi, this is Kate Scanlon and you're tuning in to the Sofa Sessions podcast.
We're actually going to move on to talk a little bit about the work that these two brilliant people do, because I think the more that we can share the practice and how it, like the application of the practice. And yesterday we had some really cool conversations around exercises that we do, or methodologies, or, you know, like how we conjure an idea in the minds of the participants and the people that we work with, that send them on a journey of reflection and healing that stays with them. So I've asked both of them, we might go to you first, actually. Is that all right? I've asked them to share a concept and how they apply it. Is that all right?
Yeah. So if you know me, you know I'm always talking about my 7 C's of resilience. They are 7 C's of resilience, and I'm going to try and say them off the top of my head. So we've got connection, character, competence, coping, community, and control. And there's another one which is not coming to me right now. So with these 7 C's of resilience, each aspect of those C's help you build to be a stronger and better person. And the more resilient you are, the better your mental health is. I think the word resilience gets thrown around a lot. And at times when we say, oh, you just need to be more resilient, it feels like, how is my resilience weighted in comparison to another's? How does my resilience look to another person? My resilience is completely different to a black man's resilience. Because if we walk down the road, he's being stopped and searched way more than me. If we're being sectioned, he's being forcefully given medication that I don't necessarily need to have straight away. If we're going through the prison system, he's getting a longer time sentence than I am going to get. My resilience is different compared to a white woman. If we are being sectioned, I'm going to be getting forcefully medicated. If we are going through the prison sentences, I'm going to serve a longer time. Similarly, with a young person, resilience changes in different people. So sometimes we can't paint the resilience brush to everybody, and that's what we tend to do. So with my practice, each section has a different question, and they're approached differently to every young person. I constantly check my resilience. And every time I feel like I need to check it, I've got friends to say to me, oh, that's a bit off. Accountability is everything. And you don't need to be accountable to yourself all the time, but you need somebody to make you accountable. And that's why communities are important. And one thing I've always realized as well is your community doesn't need to be the community that you're forced into. It's a community that you find where you feel that your place, the community that gives you the space to be yourself, your true self, is important. That's how you build a resilience. And I'm big on resilience because it impacts and supports your mental health. If I went to my community, if I went to my dad's community in Jamaica, Clarence in Jamaica, and I said to him, how's your mental health? He's going to look at me sideways. But if I said to him, what's your resilience like? He'd be like, what's resilience? How are you feeling? Can you keep going? He's going to say, yeah, of course, I've got to. It's the language that's different. We can't push mental health on people. We can't ask them those probing questions because that stigma is there. We have to break the stigma, but how we do that is using other language. And resilience is a very soft way of doing it. We are resilient people. The generations above us are resilient. You lot had to do the work. You lot been doing the work. And we build on our resilience because we know that it's been done. And that's why we continue to do it. That's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was just thinking about, I was in the Arctic in an Inuit community, and I was invited as an outsider just because I was flying around to communities and doing this work to participate. And they had a specialist on trauma who was an indigenous woman from the States, talking to all these Inuit teachers from all over our northern communities. Maybe there were 40 teachers. And she's talking about trauma and how the brain gets stuck. And the emotional breath doesn't happen. And then instead of having, 50 emotions, you have like 4. Sometimes And the anger is like one of them, the big ones, right? The quick fight or flight shit. I get that because I was just angry mofo, not just anger. Like when I describe how I just telling you about the underwear being thrown down the hall, it's fucking rage. So then what happens is you go through your life over analyzing everything that it's a fight or flight when it's not. And you become the quick to anger person in hip hop. And then it has collateral damage on, in my case, I didn't hit my kids, I yelled at my kids. I have a lot of shame about that. Maybe 10 years ago, I decided I am not going out and dying that angry man. Goal is every year be a little bit less angry, right, with all that. So this woman is talking to them about intergenerational trauma, and then she can tell like a lot of the teachers are crying because they're triggered and they're worried that they pass trauma on to their own children. So then she gets to the good stuff. And the good stuff, which I've really taken away, is like when the brain gets restructured and we don't communicate more with the frontal lobe, which is where we want to with all the creativity and stuff. I'm really overly simplifying. Like obviously Buddha's not a brain scientist. But it was exciting for me to hear that the healing part, backed up by science and PET scans, and everybody is talking about it, is when you do art and music and dance, and my favorite one that really popped up, telling your own story. And that can be in my own head. Wasn't my fault that that guy did that to me. Wasn't my fault. Like, you know, that actually you're healing from the other parts of your brain. So that this is a hopeful, good thing. So then I'm kind of like, well, how do I bring some of the ideas into my programming and stuff? Because we're already, my spidey sense in hip hop, we always talk about this, is like, my spidey sense was, yo, I fucking needed that. I needed that to have a voice. I needed to have that as a voice on the dance floor or whatever, because we feel like we don't have a voice when we have trauma, right? And yet our spidey sense is screaming and saying, get a voice. Find a community that gives you a voice. So one of the concepts I just wanted to share, we tend to do week intensives. And I'm not dogging after school programs and stuff, but what I like about a week intensive is like I got you every day back to back, and I can build on how you felt on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And so as an example, with prison kids, if I roll into prison, I'll give you one. Their biggest one, we had 80 kids representing 20 gangs, blood wars between Manitoba Warriors, Indian Posse, so many killings back and forth. At least half of the kids are in for murder. The fucking prison guards are freaking out who brought hippity hop in. They never have allowed more than 5 people in the gym at one time. This is going to be brawls. This is going to be a nightmare. Who the fuck's this Buddha guy? Calls are going into the Minister of Justice. Like, who allowed him in here? It says he's going to talk about sexual abuse. Da-da-da-da-da-da, right? But I was just like, let's just let the kids prove them wrong. We never had one gang sign go up. I see the body change every day, body language change. We do everything. We do spoken word, rap, dance, choreo. I teach them the hustle from 1975 because it's my own deal. We do art, graph. I give them homework. I give them visualization homework about their safe space when they're in their cell, like a whole bunch of things. And the wisdom is we have them for like 8 hours every day. And I can see, the guards could see their body language change from individuals grilling each other to community laughter. Actually, the Minister of Justice came in because he got that call. I didn't even know it was him. He was some big guy with a beard walking around looking. And then I went and said, hey, how are you? Look at that, what do you think? And the kids were spontaneously laughing as a group. You don't laugh unless you've let your guard down. Laughter is very healing. So one of the concepts that we banged out is, I love One Mic by Nas. And you guys probably know the video is pretty powerful, right? And obviously, his one mic is his one mic, his lyricism. But we've rounded that out to an important metaphor on resiliency of, you know what? We all already have one mic. You already know some things that you do when you're freaking out and you're angry. So what do? You just moved in with your girlfriend and you had a fight and you got a 1-year-old baby. It's not a good look to punch holes in the wall because child protection will come now. You can't see your kid, you know. So are you going for a walk? That would be a one mic. Bring it down, right? Are you going to listen to music? Are you going to do some bead work? Are you going to go longboarding? And the concept that we use throughout the week, so sometimes we show the video, is like, how do you develop in life a joie de vivre for being excited to try new shit? Having the courage to try new shit. And courage is an interesting concept because it relates to like, how do I get courage to apply for a job and write a resume and all these other things in life? And I'm big on like real life experience where in their gut, the kid is gonna feel something that feels more than an academic intellectual talking to about will just get resilience, right? And they feel resilience if by the end of the week you're like, because they're all like, nah, Buddha, I don't dance. And then their families come and they're doing the hustle. And they're laughing and smiling. And we're dancing to Get Down Tonight. With lyrics like, do a little dance, make a little love, get down tonight. Like, that's just fun, right? And they don't recognize themselves, but they're reflecting constantly. And then we follow up that with an 8-week spoken word program because they're already now getting into their heads, right? And then we do research to back it up. Before, after studies, Why we do this? Because we want to show the government that hippity, we're not just, I used to feel like it was like hippity hop just was like throwing some shit against the wall and hoping something stuck. And then we would maybe point, go give us some money. And they're right not to give us multi-year funding in big dollars if we can't back our shit up. But what we're talking about is really important in our world today, right? Trauma, mental health, it's all over the news and everything. So this one mic concept, we revisit every day. We map things out with graph on the walls and we get them. We have a rubber graffiti chicken as a talking stick we throw around. You want to share? You have homework at night. What are your new one mics that you might like to try? That's a concept that I think is like, sometimes I think people in hip hop get stuck as, no, I'm just a lyricist. I'm good. You know, maybe it's your guitar. Well, you're not always going to have your guitar with you when shit hits the fan because life's unpredictable like that, right? So that's one of our things that we use. And I think it's good for people to hear, like if I'm sitting with 50 prison kids, for them to hear that it's not crazy that another person, one mic is to take their dog for a walk, and that relaxes them. It's like, oh shit, you like that too. Because when you have trauma, you think you're alone. Prison kids think they're the only ones that have ever experienced the fear, the insecurity, the suffering. You know what I mean? So anyways, that's one of the things. And I just want to also say, one of the things that has worked well for us, we have structure, but I try to be very much in the moment and always read the room. Because sometimes it's not about sticking to that agenda. I get there, like progressively the talks start out, you know, about one mics, and by Friday we can talk about healing and sexual abuse. Obviously you couldn't do that on a Monday or a Tuesday, right? Or talk about gangs. Because you got to take them on that emotional journey. But you can feel it changing in their gut. And you can see the relationship. Another little thing that's funny is they measure suicide ideation in prisons, right? That's kids thinking of killing themselves. I don't know how they measure it, but they say they measure it. And that's why like a paperclip can't get in because the kid will open up a vein or something, right? We have been told consistently that the weak blueprint is in prisons. Suicide ideation is at the lowest it ever is during the year. Something's going on, right? When your brain can get distracted with other healthy things, and you also are starting to remove that inner voice of, I'm a crazy, or I deserve bad shit. That's a big one, right? They may have done bad shit, but like all these kids come back into our world and stuff, so it's like, anyways, that's some concept stuff.
Thank you.